In this Torah portion, Achrei Mot Kedoshim, this double Torah portion, Achrei Mot Kedoshim, we find in the middle of the Torah, in the beginning of Parashat Kedoshim, probably the most quoted verse in the entire Torah, is so well known that some people think that Jesus said that, or that was in the New Testament. But actually it is in the Torah, in the middle of the Torah, and it is Ve'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. Love your fellow as yourself, or you shall love your fellow as yourself. And because it is related to what people call the golden rule, which actually is the reverse side of the love your fellow as yourself. What you don't like people to do to you, don't do to others. Because it's so well known, people have somehow a resistance to believe that it started here in our Torah. And I would like to address the source of this resistance, the source of rushing to include this verse in the middle of the Torah. And I like to suggest that, and maybe because of the influence of Christianity, that people see the Torah as a book of law. And I would like to add, as a book of dry law, with many rules and regulations, and you shall do, you shall not do. And especially the book of Leviticus, the middle book in the Torah, is probably the driest book of the 5 books of the Torah. Book of Genesis has the creation of the world, Exodus has the story of the Exodus and the birth of Moshe, and then Numbers has the main years in the desert and the stories in the desert, and Deuteronomy the last years of Moses. But Leviticus is all about sacrifices, about skin disease, and in the middle of this dry wasteland, we find this beautiful verse, love your neighbor as yourself. The entire verse reads, you shall not take vengeance or bear a grudge against your countrymen, love your fellow as yourself, I am the Lord. And it is like if those outside of Jewish religion, those outside of Jewish life, wanted to uproot this verse and take it and to make it stand by itself there. It doesn't belong here. But I am coming today in this Bar Torah to bring the verse back where it belongs. And it belongs in the middle of the Torah with the following message. The same God who cares about Kashrut, the same God who cares about Shabbat, the same God who cares about the holidays and the lulav and the etrog and the shofar, and you shall do and you shall not do. The same God who wants you to eat particular food and not to eat different foods is the same God who tells you how you should treat your fellow human being. The source of this wonderful law, the source of this mitzvah, love your neighbor as yourself, is Hashem. It's not just love your fellow as yourself because it is good. It's not just love your fellow as yourself because that's what everybody does. It's not love your fellow as yourself because that's what people do in the West. It's love your fellow as yourself because I, Hashem, I am the one who is commanding this to you. I am the source of this morality, and I do care how you treat each other. At least for me, it's reassuring, and it gives me hope, and it makes me feel good when I feel a little down to know that I have a God who is not indifferent to the way I treat my fellow human beings, who He has very high expectation on how I treat my workers, or how I treat my spouse, how I treat my parents, how I treat my children, how I treat the people I encounter every day in my daily life. And I hope and I pray that knowing that this beautiful verse is in our Holy Torah will bring you closer to the Torah, will bring you closer to Hashem, will bring you closer to the Jewish people. Shabbat Shalom.